the landscape of AI in India and all the startups, and I think that was really for me the inspiring story. And I thought, it's great for him to come and talk to our group. Now, I asked him before this talk, Ramanan, what really inspires you? Who or what or mentor? And he shared this post with me, which I'll going to cut and paste it into the chat, but I just want to read a little bit of it. So Ramanan says in this post, how his parents instilled those values that have played a very important role in his life. And one of this is a story that his father told him about Swami Vivekananda, whose 161st birthday right now, and some words from Vivekananda that have inspired him to be who he is. So I'm just going to read out a few. I'm not going to take too much time here, but one is the greatest religion is to be true to your own nature. Second, all powers in the universe are already ours. Stand up, be bold, be strong. Believe in yourself and all that you are. The only way to do good work is to love what you do. The true teacher is he who can immediately come down to the level of a student. India is not a nation, not a country, it's a phenomenon. And the last was arise, awake, and stop not until the goal is reached. So these are really inspiring words, and I can fully understand, how it motivates people. Definitely motivates Ramanan. With that, I'm going to hand it off to Ramanan. And Ramanan, you handle the questions. Either you answer in line or wait to the end. That's fine, up to you. I'll let you know when there's about 10 minutes to go. Maybe at that point we break and then just move to questions.
Sure.
Go ahead. Thank you for joining.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Murali, for that very generous introduction. And I'm really a little overwhelmed with that introduction, but thank you so much. And first and foremost, happy Independence Day to all the Indians who have joined on this particular call. It's a great day to not only remember, all the great things that people have done to sacrifice for the independence of the country, but it's also a great day for us to celebrate the achievements over the last several years. It's 80th year of independence, and I think India has progressed tremendously over that period. And finally, it's also an important day for us to reflect on the way forward and how every one of us can play a role, not only towards a progressive India, but towards a progressive world. Because I think the world is very interconnected, and anyone who thinks otherwise is living in some illusion. Everything that is happening in the rest of the world affects us, and everything that we do affects the rest of the world. And so I think there is a tremendous opportunity, and I really welcome this particular opportunity to reflect together. It's whatever I'm sharing is based upon my own experience and my own observations and the opportunities that I have got to get involved in something that is bigger than myself. And I'm so very happy. And as as Murali pointed out, I do owe a lot to my parents for instilling many values which are you only realize this as you grow up, and every year you realize, oh, this is something that I learned. And so I attribute a lot to their blessings, and whatever I am today is really due to their blessings and elders' blessings and the goodwill of many people. So I'm going to be talking for about, I would say, Murali, how much time do we have so that I also pace myself appropriately?
Total an hour, should end by 10 p.m., but sometimes
Okay.
we go over depending on the interest and people wanting to stay on.
All right. So I'll try to wrap up my talk in about 35 to 40 minutes, and then leave about 15 to 20 minutes for interactions. I have a number of slides. This is something that I really am very passionate about, and talk to not just to the audience today, but I shared these thoughts and these views that I have with many people where I get a chance to go and meet. And so the topic today is, I'm sharing my slide. I hope you're able to see it.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. So what we are talking about is progressive initiatives to Viksit Bharat. The Viksit Bharat is the new ambition, the aspiration that is there in the country, reflected by the Prime Minister's speech or many speeches in the last several years. But what I have had a chance, and as some of you who may have glanced through my background, I joined TCS in 1981 when I graduated from IIT Bombay. Had a chance to grow with TCS, tremendous learning experience. When I was with TCS, it was about 400 to 500 people, and today it is now 600, 700,000 people. But that learning experience also helped me in my next major initiative when CMC, which was a government public sector organization, was acquired by the Tata Group in the liberalization movement that happened in the country. And so CMC was a public sector company, which was, though I don't know how many of you are aware, and many of you may have been aware of CMC's initiatives. They were responsible for the Indian Railway Reservation System computerization, the first computerization of the stock exchange in India, the Bombay Stock Exchange, the first depository that was created, CDSL, the first set of ports which were automated in the country, all across the country, the first FIR system, the biometric system that were implemented. These were all first. And CMC, though being a public sector organization, was very creative and very innovative. But it had fallen through bad times, as many government organizations do, because of a lack of leadership, ownership, and accountability as they progress forward. And it was at that time that the Tata Group decided to bid on it, acquire it, and I got the chance to lead it as the managing director and CEO of the company for 15 years, because it was still retained as an independent organization. 51% owned by the Tata Group, 49% owned by public and financial institutions, something similar to what Air India's acquisition was all about, but Air India has been acquired fully by the Tata Group. At that time, we had 51 and 49%. And that gave me a tremendous respect for the innovation that is happening in the government of India. Many of us think innovation is happening outside, but there is a lot of innovation that happens in the government of India. And that's why I was part of the think tank to recommend the purchase of CMC. And when it got acquired, it really grew very well. And in 2016, it got amalgamated with TCS fully because it had grown to a point where it didn't make sense to be separate. And it was at that time that the Atal Innovation Mission was formed. The new government headed by the current Prime Minister in 2016 was elected, and Mr. Modi had a vision of saying, how do we take India forward, leveraging technology and so on and so forth. And he came at a time where three things were happening, which was, number one, we were a fast growing, one of the youngest countries of the world. We have 1.4 billion people, but 65% of our people are under 35 years old, 50% of our people are under 25 years old, and therefore this is a youthful country with a youthful energy coursing through this country. And how do we transform this energy into something that will help the nation going forward? So that was one point. The second point was, we were a fast growing economy. We were, even at that time, 2016, we were growing well, but we were growing at 6 to 8%. But today we are at a situation where we can grow between 8 to 12% if we get all these things right. And there seems to be a tipping point that we are reaching where this possibility can become a reality. And the third was that technology was changing the entire shape of the landscape. Technology is changing the way you are experiencing the world and the world is experiencing you. Technology had become affordable, accessible, available, and advanced. And as a result of it, technology was something that needed to be harnessed by not only the government, by the people, but also by the industry to be able to make accelerated progress possible. So with all of this in mind, several progressive initiatives were initiated by the government of India in innovation, entrepreneurship, startups, and now recently AI. And it was not just policies, it was policies and it was implementation. And I was really very fortunate to become part of this for the last decade. So having served in private sector and seen how we become exclusive in nature. In the private sector, we are always looking at how do you make more profit, how do you narrow down the scope of what you do so that it is giving you the maximum bang for the buck, and we become exclusive as we progress forward. When you work for the government, it is exactly the opposite. You have to become inclusive. You do something for 100 people, you find you have to do it for 1,000 people, you have to do for 1 billion people. And so the challenges that the government has versus what a corporate has are quite different, because they are motivated by two different things. And that was the biggest learning that I've got, and I really am thankful for that experience. So what happened was, when the Atal Innovation Mission was formed by the Government of India, in 2016, the Prime Minister said, can we get somebody who has had a combination of private sector and public sector experience to run this institution? Because he didn't want it to be run like any other government initiatives. He wanted the private sector experience to reflect in the way we could run that. And somebody in the think tank of the PMO identified me because of CMC and TCS, and so here I was to drive this mission. And that's how I became part of the Atal Innovation Mission. For 5 years, I was the founding mission director of that mission to drive innovation and entrepreneurship across the length and breadth of the country. Sounds very, very ambitious, and it is ambitious indeed. But then when we started off, we didn't, at least to my mind, it was all new. I was like a startup with 3 people, helping me, or 4 people helping me. We had to really see how we can launch all of this. But today we are at a completely different situation, and that's what I'm going to elaborate over the next couple of. So how do I go to the next slide? Yeah. So what I want to emphasize.
Sorry, Ramanan, can you make it full screen so we?
This is the full screen I've shown, but
I'm missing the rest of your desktop and other stuff, so you can maximize that window.
This
with
one?
this presentation. Yeah, that one. Just maximize it. There you go.
Okay, got
sorry.
it? Okay.
Yeah,
great.
Got it.
Yeah. So what I want to highlight in this particular thing is, where we are today is not by chance, or it is not a sudden spurt of innovation initiatives that is being done. It has actually progressed and evolved over the last decade. It's a very holistic ecosystem driven implementation approach that characterizes the Government of India initiatives in innovation, entrepreneurship, startups, AI, and whatever else it is doing. And I just want to go back. 2016, the idea was, how do you launch a nationwide innovation and entrepreneurship initiative that's going to harness the power of the youth, from schools to colleges to the industry and so on. And the idea was, can we create a nation of job creators, not just job seekers? Because we have done excellently in job seeking. We have now a $300 billion IT/ITeS industry, which has been a result of job seeking and so on and so forth, and serving customers all across the world. But can we create job creators? Can we create startups? Can we create our own products? And that was the idea and the aspiration. So there were 2 parts to it. Number one, how do you create a culture of innovation in the country? Because you cannot get entrepreneurship without creating a culture of innovation starting at the school level, not just at the university level or at the industry level. And then how do you create an ecosystem that is going to help in the implementation of any policy changes or any initiatives that we take? Then came 2020, Atmanirbhar Bharat, and that was driven by COVID. COVID came and created a whole lot of mess across all the parts of the world, and particularly in India with 1.4 billion people, it was a mammoth task of seeing how do we recover from COVID, how do we prevent COVID from escalating, and therefore the slogan of Atmanirbhar Bharat came, because we realized that supply chains have stopped or being stopped, nationalistic priorities were being gained, and so how do we ensure that Atmanirbhar Bharat, we become a self-reliant Bharat, not a nationalistic in the sense, how can also we be a source of supply to the rest of the world. And if you look at the 5 pillars, I just want to highlight there were 5 pillars that the Prime Minister focused on, and that has become sort of the basis of what is happening today. The first pillar was the pillar of the demographic dividend, making sure that we empower our youth to be able to become startup creators, job creators, and so on, and empower them with the latest tools and technologies that the world is using. The second was the pillar of infrastructure. We have 650,000 villages in India. We have 715 districts. We have 8,000 small towns and cities, and we have just 8 tier 1 cities, Mumbai, Delhi, and all the ones that you know. So how do you ensure that we create world-class infrastructure across, and can we have 650,000 smart villages? Can we have 8,000 small towns and districts becoming smart hubs of innovation and local job creation? And can we have 715 districts with district innovation specific and community centric innovation specific to the areas where they are located? And that drove Atmanirbhar Bharat. The pillar of demand, 1.4 billion people demand is huge. So can we start fulfilling it from within rather than always depend upon external sources of solutions? The pillar of socio-economic progress, how do we ensure that we grow socially, I mean socio-economic progress in terms of bridging the digital divide, women empowerment, inclusivity, the disability challenges that we have, because everything is big from an India context point of view. So how do we ensure socio-economic progress? And finally, the pillar of technology, which will be the glue to all of these for them to grow. So in 2020, departments of space and defense, which were like sort of very rigorous in their approach of RFPs and not encouraging outside startups or small startups to implement, that was all opened up. So ISRO opened up, defense opened up to encourage startups to create solutions, and they also not only provided a vehicle for them to create solutions but to use those solutions, with just like you have the SBIR processes in United States, where if there is a fund given through SBIR, you have the first right of use by the department which has given the grant. Similar initiatives were initiated to boost the economy, encourage local industries, boost self-reliance, and so on. In 2023, the launch of Viksit Bharat was conceived by the government of India. And what is Viksit Bharat? I'll give you more details. It was very specifically defined. It was not generally a loose, arbitrary statement. It was with very specific goals, with quantification of what we want to do, what we want to achieve. And the whole idea was to establish a fully developed, self-reliant, and a globally influential India by the centenary of independence. And 2023, the National Quantum Mission was launched. And in 2024, the India AI Mission was launched. And in 2026, the India Semiconductor Mission was launched. And these are all to boost India leadership in AI for all, AI for good. And we'll talk a little more about all of this. But more importantly, the whole thrust of India is to use new technologies for accelerated socio-economic progress. It is not just GDP growth, because the government has realized, and it is true everywhere, that if it is just GDP growth, it can be driven by a few cities, by a few companies, and so on. But if it is, if a country has to last and be progressive, then you have to ensure the progress of all. So there are many initiatives going on, and so what resulted from all of that? Today, at a school level, we have, and this was what the Atal Innovation Mission did, we had 5 initiatives in Atal Innovation Mission. One is at the school level, where we launched thousands of tinkering labs, so that young students from grade 6 to grade 12 get a chance to tinker with the latest of technologies: 3D printing, robotics, IoT, miniaturized electronics, AR, VR, do-it-yourself kits. And these do-it-yourself kits were worked with consultation with organizations like MIT, with Stanford, with the IITs, IICs, and so on. And so today you have more than 6 million young students in schools who are tinkering with 3D printing, robotics, IoT, miniaturized electronics, and AR, VR through the do-it-yourself kits that has been given by the government, and it launches them into a world of prototyping, innovation, identifying problems, problem identification, problem solving, team working, and so on. It's fantastic to see. If you go and see in Thoothukudi in Salem, in the coast of southern coast of Tamil Nadu, you have a girls' school which is creating IoT-based, solar panel-based irrigation management system. They have created a prototype that has now been adopted by a startup, and that is being implemented to offer all the farmers in that particular area. In Sikkim, you have a group of students from a school who have created a robotic-based waste management system, which also triggers a Wi-Fi zone, because Wi-Fi is not easy to get in that area. So whenever you put some waste in the waste basket, it triggers a Wi-Fi zone for about 5 to 10 minutes, which the students can use, and so on. So it's very innovative and very creative in the way solutions are developed by the youngsters. And so now you have 10,000 tinkering labs, you have 200,000 plus startups. We also, Atal Innovation Mission started incubators. We launched about 100 incubators in universities, where the government gave a grant of about 10 crores to 20 crores, depending upon whether it was a private sector or a public sector incubator. And they were able to, the idea was to launch 20 to 25 startups in every incubator every 18 months. And support them with angel funding, because in India nobody was willing to give funding for the startups when they were just starting. So you needed some organization to do that, and the government took on that responsibility. And today we have more than 200,000 startups and over 900 incubators, supported by organizations like DPIIT, DST, Department of Science and Technology, Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, MEITY. And what happened over the last 10 years is all the ministries have adopted innovation, entrepreneurship and technology as a means of their own plan for growth and for impact across the country. So you have defense, you have Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog is a national institution for transforming India. It was erstwhile planning commission, but when the Honorable Prime Minister took over as the Prime Minister, he renamed it as Niti Aayog, so that this will serve as a think tank. And it was in Niti Aayog that the Atal Innovation Mission was launched, because it had to work with multiple ministries, and it was not to be owned by a single ministry. So we have today also Atal Community Innovation Centers were launched. And these community innovation centers are to promote community-centric innovation in remote tier 2, tier 3 cities. And we launched a Mentors of Change, because we all realize that the teachers are not adequately equipped to be able to coach the students, and also the universities don't have good enough mentors. So how do we draw mentors from the industry, mentors from research institutions, as well as mentors who are very keen and passionate to giving back to the students. And so today we have one of the largest Mentors of Change network sponsored by the government, and we have more than 8,000 to 10,000 mentors, and there are many other portals which have come up from the Principal Scientific Advisor's Office, and so on and so forth. And then you have, as a result of which today, 125 plus unicorns with more than 10,000 crores of funding, and these are all the various initiatives which are there. All of this is available in the websites of DST, DBT, and so on. But what you can see, if I'm able to point out a few things, is that there is a strategic alignment and an innovation pipeline being built by supporting at various stages the whole innovation and entrepreneurship initiative. So starting with curiosity, how do you build curiosity in the young students in schools through Atal Tinkering Labs? That has been now amplified by the National Education Policy rolled on in 2020. It's a very progressive policy where the focus earlier was on rote learning, getting certificates, getting marks, and going to a good university or going abroad. Now the emphasis on the education, not only in the universities but also in the schools, is how do you create problem solvers of the future. And with that thrust, a lot of changes are coming in terms of how we can look at education in a very creative way. Ideation. So there are a number of organizations like AIM, DST, DBT, as well as the AICT, which is the All India Council of Technical Education. They launch a number of initiatives and challenges national hackathons, university hackathons, so that young students are able to ideate, identify solutions for problems they see in and around the communities they live in, and be able to come up with solutions. And good solutions are then supported through funding for prototyping in the early stages. So you have funds like the Startup India's SIS fund, Initial Startup Fund, DST's Technology Business Incubators, and so on and so forth. And then there is, from a prototype, how do you scale? So there are initiatives that support scaling by accelerators, providing accelerator fundings, providing additional funding of a higher order. For example, Atal Innovation Mission, we had two types of challenges we launched. One was called Arise. Arise was similar to SBI's initial $150,000 you give for any idea to be converted into a prototype. And then you have the next stage where you want to convert the prototype into a commercial product or a product that is usable, and so you have additional funding. So we have Arise as Applied Research and Innovation for Small Enterprises, and we had ENIC, which is Atal New India, National New India Challenges, that would be having grants up to 2 to 5 crores. And yes, just last week there was a celebration of the first 50 Atal New India Challenge winners who have scaled and whose prototypes have become products, and these products are all out in the market, and so on and so forth. And then leadership initiatives globally. So the India AI Mission, the In-Space program, these are, so you are seeing a strategic alignment and a steady build-up of support at various stages, and this pipeline has been sequential, but it is overlapping. So if you are already at a particular stage, you can move from that stage to the next stage. So of course, then came this big disruptor AI, and over the past 2 years we are now thrust into an area of exponential challenges and opportunities. So it is a great challenge for India, especially the IT industry is facing this particular challenge, but at the same time it is a great opportunity, and driven by AI, driven by converging technologies, and what we do can impact the rest of the world, or what the world does can impact the whole of India, which is not, which is a sizable country. So therefore, the Viksit Bharat initiative was launched by the Honorable Prime Minister, and if you see in today's speech, he has talked about 7 he called it, he gave a nice word to it. Based upon the Sapta rivers, the 7 rivers, there are 7 streams of focus that we have. But Viksit Bharat essentially was, how do we visualize India as a developed nation by 2047, which means economic growth and empowerment. It's a $30 trillion goal, GDP. We want to be among the 3rd largest global economy. We want to be a manufacturing and tech hub. We want to create 500 plus hubs of innovation and job creation across the country. And these are not small hubs, they are major hubs and going through a hub and spoke arrangement. Second is infrastructure, a number of initiatives for setting up modern transport networks, universal digital infrastructure and digital public infrastructure. Now all of you are familiar with the digital public infrastructure of India. It's been a game changer for India in terms of the reach that it has, the Kirana network, the Kirana stores that it can support, the farmer it can support, the elimination of the middleman and therefore the loss of income to potential beneficiaries. All of this is being amplified with AI now, because DPI has given rise to a whole lot of data which is very valuable in being able to do better urban planning, better rural planning, better city planning, and so on and so forth. And therefore, creating the government has identified 200 cities to become smart cities. And when we mean smart cities, it is smart electricity management, smart water management, leveraging IoT, leveraging sensor technologies, leveraging AI, creating smart districts and smart villages. The third is social development as a goal. And here it is universal health care, zero poverty goal, which is again, we still have 14% of our population below the poverty line. So it's not, we are not out of the woods yet, but it has come down from 25 to 26% over the last decade to about 12 to 14%. And I think the government is having very active measures to see how it can become zero. And then specific schemes and initiatives to encourage youth, women, farmers, vocational and vocational empowerment. Tremendous focus on vocational empowerment along the lines of what is happening in Germany and many of the European countries, because you're going to need to see how to employ a whole lot of people across the country in all of these areas at the vocational level also. Technology, innovation and leadership, new thrusts and new goals on AI, semiconductors, green energy, setting up world-class facilities, R&D facilities. In fact, there are 15 centers of excellence which have been set up, very advanced centers of excellence in the IITs, in the ISCs and in major research institutions of the country. And that idea is how to become world-class in nature and also attract some of the finest people from the rest of the world into this ecosystem. India has very clear sustainability goals because you have 250 million people as a part of the middle class rising economy, but we are going to add another 250 million people, and that is going to have tremendous impact on climate change, agriculture, on emissions and so on. So we have to parallelly achieve climate goals, go for a green economy. Therefore, you are seeing this huge thrust on electric vehicles, hydrogen, biofuels and so on, renewable energy transitions and environmental considerations. And finally, a large country like ours requires better governance, transparency, citizen-centric service delivery and so on. So these are all the, and for each of these, very specific goals have been defined, quantified goals have been defined for measuring our progress and ensuring that. So these are some of the targets. I will not go into too much detail, but these targets are being worked upon by every department and every organization to achieve that. Now, the India AI mission was launched with this tremendous focus on AI, and AI is disruptive. At the same time, it has tremendous opportunities. So 7 pillars were declared by the India AI mission. I am fortunate to be part of the India AI mission, and we looked at what are some of the things that is required in order to be able to boost AI-based growth and solutions. So first, compute capacity. How do we ensure that scalable AI computing is available for the startups and so on and so forth? It is very costly. The hardware is costly, the data centers are costly. So how do you ensure compute capacity? And now the government has come up with policies facilitating setting up of AI data centers and AI infrastructure. So one is compute capacity. Second is creating innovation centers which will create large multimodal models, LLMs for India. So it's not just, we have more than 26 languages, for example. We have multiple sectors, small sector. We have more than 7 lakh crore MSMEs in the country. They are the backbone of the industrial growth of our country, though we don't realize that. We all are familiar with the big ones like the Tatas and the Birlas and so on, but you have more than 7 lakh crore MSMEs in the country. So how do you ensure that you provide models, small SMLs as well as LLMs and so on for this multimodal requirement? Data sets. We have a lot of data, but there has not been enough effort in collecting this data, cleansing this data, making sure that the data is reliable and so on and so forth. So there are many initiatives being supported to create a unified data stack, which just like UPI, you can have a data stack for access. Future skills, a number of initiatives for developing AI-based skills at the school level, at the university level. Even at the school level, we have now introduced AI curriculum so that the students are getting steadily indoctrinated into understanding how you leverage AI and how do you use AI, and then subsequently how do you develop AI-based solutions. There is very focused startup financing, funding for deep tech AI ventures at the incubation level, at the university level. Application development, there are key AI solutions. Sorry for some of the, when I converted some slides, the spelling is, I don't know, the TI seems to be missing everywhere. AI solutions, TI or whatever. And so AI solutions for key sectors and safe and trusted AI, which is very important, which is also a strong area of focus. So there was the AI Impact Summit, which was held recently. I think some of you may have had a chance to attend that. But I think this was one of the really, I was there for the entire summit. And what was very impressive was that the world is looking at India as not only a source of AI talent and AI capability, but also as a place where AI will become very relevant, and therefore they need to be in the act. So we had more than 68 nations represented. We have more than 3,200 plus delegates. Almost everyone in the who's who, from Sundar Pichai to Zuckerberg and so on and so forth, they all came for this summit. More than 120 very, very distinguished speakers and panelists and leaders in the AI world, and more than 2.4 lakh crore MOUs and commitments were signed during that 5 days of event. So the focus was, how do you help sovereign AI capabilities to be developed, AI for Bharat, and also establish global South leadership in AI. And here a number of international AI policy deliberations took place on how do you build standards together so that there is not only interfacing, seamless interfacing, but also how do you ensure that they are addressing the security requirements that are very, very important. And it was in this
just a time check. We have about 20 minutes left,
okay.
and we'll
definitely I have only two more
questions. I'm seeing. Okay,
go ahead. 2 more slides,
so
and
there is no time limit. He can talk as long as he wishes to. There's no time limit.
All right, sir.
Okay. So during the summit, I think this is a very key, important policy, vision that the government enunciated, which is called the Manav Doctrine. They called it Manav to say the humanizing AI, and how do you ensure that whatever AI initiatives India undertakes should adhere to these principles. So first and foremost, moral and ethical alignment of the AI system that is to be developed. So we want it to reflect human values. It should ensure fairness. It should ensure dignity. And this becomes very important in a country like India, with such a diverse set of people, languages, economic levels, inclusivity levels, and so on. We have to ensure that AI would not promote discrimination, and it will prevent it, and it will protect the vulnerable population, and so on. The second one was accountability and transparency. How do we establish clear governance and redress mechanisms and responsibility when AI systems cause harm or make errors? So this is the second part. Third is national sovereignty and human-centered AI. So we want to make sure that you're building AI that adapts to the human need, rather than the other way around, that the human need has to adapt to AI, and it just becomes a vehicle for growth and commercial growth for an organization. So which means how do we include local languages, address various literacy levels, solutions which bring the cultural context, because the cultural context becomes so important when you're developing an AI-based solution, and so on. AI for all, inclusivity, and this is another focus area. So not just for the privileged few, but including women empowerment and so on. The V stands for validation of legal and regulatory compliance and explainability, and so on. And finally, AI has to be empathetic and have emotional intelligence built into it. So designing AI that responds and recognizes appropriately to human emotions, especially in sensitive contexts like healthcare and education. Now, what does this mean in more layman words? Do we move from automation? How do we move from automation to augmentation, where AI is a co-pilot? It's not an unquestioned authority, and humans retain final decision making, especially in high-stake areas. How do we move from a black box, AI is a black box, and you don't know what is happening within, to transparency, accountability, and explainability? For example, people affected by AI decisions would deserve to know why a loan was rejected, why a patient was prioritized, why a content was flagged, and so on. From constraints and biases to contextual intelligence. So we need to be, we cannot say that this is only working for this section of the population or with these languages. Sensitivity to local languages, local cultural norms, and the socio-economic realities of India. From digital divide to digital inclusion, I mean, it is still a big problem in many parts of the world. The AI has to work for farmers, gig workers, patient students, not only for enterprises or the influential elites of the country. And from ruthless efficiencies to empathy, modality-based efficiency decisions. Not just is it fast or accurate, because this is the danger that all of us are actually struggling with. That yes, it will make you ruthlessly efficient, but what do you do with the rest of the people, and are you also looking into how to handle that part of the equation? And so not just is it fast or accurate, but is it fair, understandable, and compassionate? So at the end of the day, AI has to prioritize people and planet over platforms. So AI as a platform can be great, but can be prioritize people and planet over the platform. So there is a phased plan for Viksit Bharat. Phase 1 being acceleration, phase 2 being consolidation, and phase 3 being global leadership. So it's not that 2047, we are 20 years still away from 2047, and the idea is not that we are going to achieve it in the next year, but and I think this is the good part. They are not trying to say everything has to change overnight. So the acceleration path is between 2024 to 2030, where we have set up the 10,000 GPU cluster, and that's being added. The first semiconductor fab has gone live. More than 1,000 unicorns to be achieved by 2030. We are already at about 150 or so. 500 gigawatts of renewable energy, India AI models in 22 languages, and over 5 lakh AI professionals are trained. In the phase 2, we are looking at India being among the top 10 AI nations, $44 billion space economy reach. So these are some of the concrete targets that have been set up for consolidation. And in phase 3, can we truly become a global leader, one of the global leaders with a GDP that is commensurate with that global leadership, a per capita income that has grown accordingly, India as a G3 tech power, and so on and so forth. So each phase will build on the previous phase, and you can see that progressively happening. And that's why I gave the presentation of over the last decade, from 2016 to 2027, how we have been trying to build up on what was built earlier. Otherwise, it would not have been possible to run the initiatives that we are running today if we had not done that background work. And so this is a phased approach. And there are a lot of gaps and challenges. So it is not that this is all hunky-dory and we'll be able to do it. There is tremendous amount of R&D investment required. At this point, our R&D investment is only 0.65% of GDP, but we want to double it to greater than 1.5 to 2%. And actually, advanced countries like Korea, South Korea, and all, they actually spend between 3 to 4% of their GDP. We have yet to reach there, but our volume is high. Deep tech funding is very important. There is a very strong focus on deep tech funding. So entrepreneurship is already there, but how do you ensure deep tech funding? So there have been dedicated deep tech funding windows, which are integrating with SIDBI, which is the Small Industries Development Board, Startup India, India AI, DST, etc. Tier 2, Tier 3 innovation and job creating ecosystems. Like I said, we have 715 districts, and we have out of them 115 are called aspirational districts because they are still at the bottom of the pyramid in terms of basic access to healthcare, education, clean drinking water, sanitation, waste management, and so on, and affordable housing. So that is a special move called aspirational districts move by the Niti Aayog, which focuses on these 115 aspirational districts to move up the ladder of very concrete parameters. There is a dashboard which is maintained for every district, and that dashboard is reviewed every year personally by the Prime Minister in a meeting, and that is how and I've been part of those meetings. Is very, very informative on what initiatives are happening at a district level to be able to move up, and these parameters are like health, hygiene, education, unemployment, waste management in that city, and so on. So they're very, very parameters which which make a difference to mortality rates, nutritional rates, and so on and so forth. IP creation and patent filings, we are catching up. We are doing well, but there is more to be done. Inclusive innovation and entrepreneurship, we have less than 20% women founders, but in the last couple of years, the number of women-led startups have increased tremendously. We have almost 33% are women-led startups in India. So that's the good news, and so we want to make sure that that focus remains. And regulatory agility for biotech space, semiconductors, sandbox expansion to 12 sunrise sectors have been identified. So the renaissance that we are looking at, the tech-based renaissance in India is not guaranteed, but there is a lot of structural reform in R&D, in talent, in inclusion, and in regulation, which are the preconditions. The government realizes that, and there are many initiatives to support that. And finally, I just want to say that not only is it being driven at the center level, but state innovation missions have now actively got. So every state has a state innovation mission, like the Tamil Nadu State Innovation Mission or the Telangana State Innovation Mission. And these state and innovation missions are now actively collaborating with central research and innovation initiatives, so that the smart cities, the tier 2, tier 3 towns in that particular state, the rural villages in that state get the benefit of innovation, entrepreneurship, and skill building and local job creation through all the initiatives which are there, which I have shown, the various departments which are involved at the central level. And what is important in India is institutionalizing innovation. We have research and innovation in India has been sort of episodic. It has been reactive. Okay, it has been scheme based. And while you have these initiatives like Atal Innovation Mission, Startup India, and all that, they have catalyzed momentum. How do we ensure that it gets institutionalized at every university, in every school, or in every industry? So embedding it in state institutions and linking them to developmental priorities of that particular state, and making it resilient to political and bureaucratic transitions. This is another problem. When the chief minister changes, whatever was decided by the earlier ministry gets reset, and so on and so forth. So we want to move away from that sporadic, episodic ecosystem to a systematic, continuously scalable solution for public service delivery. And so there is a very active.
So Ramanan,
yeah.
Sorry again to interrupt, but I really want to use the energy of this audience here to kind of help you. If
Correct,
there is
correct.
possible for connection. So
and so I'll finish. This is the last slide. So what we need, and from all of you who are also representing various institutions, is how can we facilitate collaborations and dialogues? How can we establish greater connections? How do we stimulate co-innovation? How do we participate in coaching and mentoring, bringing your expertise and your knowledge into action? And how do we do co-financing, which is very important? So that's my last slide. So convergence movement is here, and I think India is ready for Viksit Bharat, leveraging our demographic dividend, leveraging the geopolitical tailwinds that are there, where India is being increasingly looked upon as a trusted democratic partner, and structural ambition that we have. So if executed, this could become a reality.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. I sped through it. I hope it was not too fast. I hope it was. It gave you an idea of what is happening at the national level.
Absolutely. So very informative, and that's partly I heard the short story earlier this year, but now we've heard a bigger version of it. Now open it up to questions, and also if you can go back to the slide of how people like us could contribute here. Go ahead, Saraswat. You've been waiting patiently.
Thank you so much, Ramanan. First of all, I really appreciate taking the time to give us this view. I had no idea that all of this was going on. So very grateful.
A little bit breaking up, Saraswat. Maybe can you come closer to the mic?
Okay, I'll give it one more shot and see if it works. So I can't come closer to the mic because this is my headset. So just one more. I'll give it one more try. Thank you very much again. really appreciate this view into how the government has been thinking, how you have been helping the government think. But in the interest of time, let me just cut to the chase. It does feel very much out of touch with reality. The reality I'm talking about is not 10,000 GPUs for India. The reality is 1 million GPUs at OpenAI. The reality is $500 billion being raised by NVIDIA for financing of data centers for a bunch of application development. Skills in the rest of the world are just enormously different from the numbers that you are talking about, both in terms of amount of dollars and in terms of the time scale. The country of geniuses in a data center that Dario talks about is next year. It's not 2047. Next year is when we think it will happen. So, and already we are seeing tremendous advances in application capabilities with existing frontier elements. Now with China, not just the US. And I see nothing at all in terms of comparable efforts in India of frontier LLMs, frontier agentic stacks, application stacks. So what is anyone thinking this through? What is the shortest path that companies in India could have to frontier level AI capability? And what would it take to?
So I think you're raising a very fair and important point, and the only way that we can progress forward is very active collaboration with large organizations here who have the vision and who have the wherewithal to be able to tap into the Indian capability and talent, as well as being able to fund, because it is in their interest to be able to do this. The government, of course, is very actively seeking support from various countries. But I think at the private sector level, which is where the rubber hits the road in terms of economic growth and so on, there is still not a good enough appreciation in Indian corporates of the challenges. And I mean, look at the IT industry, which is somewhat floundering right now in the face of all the AI growth, and that's because I think they do need to invest a lot more in all of this. At the same time, there needs to be tremendous collaboration with advanced companies and economies to be able to achieve that. Then the true appreciation of that comes, and otherwise you're finding, maybe you're finding something which has already been found somewhere else, and so you're moving up the ladder very, very slowly. But I totally agree with your observation.
So I think that was a question about scale, right? The scale of investment in India is not comparable to other countries that are investing in AI. And how do you bridge that gap?
Well, even if you look at the US, there is a lot of collaboration that is happening from other countries, and the money is pouring in from many other countries and companies from outside. That sort of environment is still not there in India, where and that's because you're seeing advanced research happening here. You're seeing advanced technologies being created, and so there is this financing that is facilitated not only by the government but also from outside. We need to be able to attract such investment from outside, and I think that calls for a lot of dialogue and making them see the opportunity that is there.
May I?
You have a question?
Yeah. So I have several interrelated questions, because one, you said that this has been on for 10 years now. And, if even over these 10 years, we have still achieved a growth rate of 6 to 8%, yes, you hope that we will reach 12 and higher, but there is no indication as of now that we are anywhere near achieving any of that kind of a target. Then you mentioned that 6 million children in schools have been given access to this cutting edge technologies and so on. And there, I am kind of asking whether these students are mainly in private schools where you have provided additional funds, even though perhaps those private schools might be able to afford to provide the money to create these facilities, and if that might not be better handled by changing the curriculum and making it mandatory to provide them. And while the government funds village schools and other government schools, which it has been reported some 25,000 have closed down over the last 10 years or so. Then the smart cities, yes, they were announced with great fanfare, but I don't know what has been achieved in this, and exactly what is it. How many cities have we achieved so far? Because this has also been on for several years now, if not 10, then perhaps 5 years. Finally, you mentioned that India hopes to be in the top 10 AI countries. I think that is a very that is not a good enough aim to have, given the size of our population and the strength of our AI of our software industry. We should be definitely hoping and aiming to be in the top three.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
So, yeah, thank you. So, one is at the school level, which you mentioned. The focus has been on government and government aided schools. So, 75% of the funding for tinkering labs and so on goes to government aided schools in all the 715 districts. The tinkering labs have been established in all these schools. Only 25 to 30% of the funding goes to private schools, precisely for the reason that you mentioned, that they have the ability to support it and finance it and so on. So the focus on government, and the other part is the funding has gone mainly for co-ed and girls schools. So 70% of the funding has gone for girls schools and co-ed schools. So very clearly the focus is how do we ensure that the schools in the rural areas and tier 2, tier 3 cities benefit from all of these initiatives. Yes, 25,000 schools have been closed, but I think that is a good thing, because there are a number of schools which are just there as for namesake, and they don't have good teachers, they don't have adequate facilities and so on. So there was a very big and they keep drawing upon. So that has over the years corruption had set in. Schools were just erected by name and they were not operational and so on and so forth. So there have been a crackdown on what is a truly operating school, and as a result of which not only schools but some of the universities or colleges have also been shut down. But that's not to reflect that the rest of the schools and the rest of the colleges are not being supported or new schools are not being opened. You talk about smart cities. 200 smart cities have been identified. 45 of them have already undergone various projects where smart city implementations have been done. Now, what is a smart city is defined by the local government in the sense that if, for example, water management is of higher priority in a particular city, or waste management is of higher priority, these priorities are worked out based upon the gaps and the deficiencies that the cities have, and where can technology play an important role in converting that. So a smart city has, if you see even the conventional literature, there is a whole lot of definition of smart cities across the world. Portugal and Spain and all of them, they have different definitions of smart cities. But at the end of the day, it is how do we ensure that technology can provide better citizen-centric services in the areas that are of high priority. It may be in health. Smart health centers may be more important in a particular district, and in another particular district, education may be the more important thing. So that's defined, but there is progress in that, not to the level that one, but there is a lot of, only when you go and see some of these things you understand. I do think there is the publicizing of what is happening in the country. For example, if you travel in India, you will see a very different India than what is displayed in terms of various social media outlooks and so on and so forth. So there is a difference. But yes, can we do better? Yeah, answer is yes, obviously, because it's a large country and a complex country. And then what is the other point you mentioned about?
One was, why have we stagnated at 6 to 8% despite the use of technology?
Huh.
And
So,
why are we aiming only to be in the top 10 AI countries?
okay, so it is not top 10 AI countries, top 10 most innovative countries of the world. There is an index called the Global Innovation Index. We are currently at 42 in that Global Innovation Index. But we were at 81 7 years back. From 81, we have come down to 40, and I think this year we are at 38. We are in 38 in the Global Innovation Index. This is measured by the World WIPO, Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO in Switzerland and so on. It's a global standard that is measured. And so the idea is within the next 10 years, can we be among the global top 10? And by 2047, we want to be among the, in leadership in AI, I don't think we are given a specific target, but for innovation and entrepreneurship and in the Global Innovation Index, we are given ourselves a target of being among the global top 10. Yes, I think we want to be among the top 3 global leaders. That was what I put in the last slide, I think, which was that. Okay, I had a slide on that, but anyway, I agree. We can be, but at the same time, we have to address issues that Mr. Saraswat had also brought out, and we need to be a little more practical. Whether it is now 6 to 8%, and the ability for us to grow between 8 to 10 or 8 to 12%, that ability and potential is there because we are having. I mean, for the precise reasons of those 5 things that I talked about. Demographic dividend, we have a demand which the whole world is wanting to come to India to address that demand. Can we be fulfilling the demand rather than allowing the rest of the world to address that demand? The demand of the demand of infrastructure. We need world-class infrastructure, not only IT, not only roads and railways and sports and all of that, and that's going to bring tremendous amount of growth, and that growth is going to create a lot of jobs and so on. And these would be many physical jobs, not just IT or IT related jobs, where technology will play a role in accelerated growth. But this demand and this demand for infrastructure and the demand for services and products is real, and therefore we have a chance with our startups and with our ecosystem to be able to address that demand. The fourth being the socio-economic progress, where we do have so many challenges in terms of tier 2, tier 3 cities growth, inclusivity. So all of this can fuel growth of a different level in this country, provided all of these initiatives that we are talking about has collaborative with industry, academia, everybody participating, and not everybody waiting for just the government to do something on the side of. I mean, that's. I come from the private sector, I come from the Tata Group, and I do find that there is a lot more that private sector can do and enable and initiate to align themselves with the priorities that the country has.
So Ramanan,
Yeah, thanks.
Ramanan, Murli, I had a question, Murli Mani.
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So on the lines of what Vijay Saraswat and Saurabh Prakash said, I mean, the slides has a lot of vision, I mean, a lot of buzzwords. But I mean, what about the status of the implementation? See, for example, I'm originally from Coimbatore and a tier 2 city. I mean, you mentioned about smart cities. And I mean, Coimbatore is known for its education system and the entrepreneurship and the startups, including AI. But I mean, one metric is, for example, say students from tier 2 colleges graduating from Coimbatore or other cities across India. How many of them are, I mean, do you have an idea of or a feel for how many of them actually stay back in India? Or is the percentage of those students who want to come to the US or elsewhere, go outside India, is it decreasing over the last few years? On the other hand, also are people, students who graduated from outside India, including the US, are there statistics showing more of them are coming back to the US? So some thoughts on that would be useful.
Yeah. So Coimbatore in particular
Yeah.
has there are three areas. One is the small industry in Coimbatore, which is very active. Second is the textile industry in Tirupur and all that, which is very active. And then you have today in Coimbatore, among the many Tamil Nadu cities, it is one of the fastest growing in terms of startups, in terms of entrepreneurship, and in terms of education. All the three. Number of incubators are there. The defense Codicia is there. Codicia is on defense. Codicia itself has spawned more than about 150 startups and supporting in various other defense startups across the country. So in terms of people wanting to go abroad and study and so on, whether it has decreased, what I can say is what has increased is the appetite for entrepreneurship by young students graduating from the university. So every university, I mean, it was not there 10 years when I graduated from IIT, nothing was there in terms of startups and so on. If you look in the last 10 years, what has grown is the number of startups that are coming out from many universities, whether it is Nehru Group of Institutions, whether it is PSG College, whether it is the Lakshmi Ammal School of in Coimbatore. I mean, all of these institutions have now incubators with at least 15 to 20 startups coming out from the students who are graduating and who are electing that. And actually, Coimbatore has an environment of entrepreneurship right from the olden days, because a lot of the parents have set up industries, but the children don't want to go in the same industry that the parent has set up. And so there is can they fund these entrepreneurship, new entrepreneurship initiatives by these students. Now, can it be better? Yes, of course, it can be much better. You also mentioned about people going abroad. What I can tell definitely is from the IITs, the number of students who are going abroad versus who are staying back has increased tremendously. I mean, the people who are staying back has increased tremendously. If you look at the number of people who are going abroad for higher studies, that has come down. Whether it has come down because of political reasons, not getting visas, etc., but definitely there is more number of IIT students or IISc students or National Institute of Technology students who elect to remain back because they see the opportunities in India are higher. There are many students who have, I mean, I have personally got so many requests from people who are studying here saying that, sir, can you help us get a job in India? We want to come back to India. We are not getting a job here. So that's the, I mean, I get many of those requests, but I'm not saying that there is no opportunity here. The aspiration to go abroad and study is always there, because you have a better educational system here than what is there in India. There is no doubt about it. And so people aspire to come here and the people aspire to get higher education. But I think many young youth are seeing a lifestyle and a capability of getting a good job in India as much as, they would think that without going abroad, I would not get that. So
along those lines, So along those lines, how about the reverse? Are students graduating from US and others outside coming back to India, the Indian students?
So many of them are coming back because they are not getting something here. I still have to see a major exodus of people from India, from US, who are coming back to India saying, oh, there is an opportunity in India which I want to address. They are coming back due to compulsions, but I have not seen too many people coming back to India. But the government is actively soliciting now. They have recently introduced a research and for research and development. They have said PhDs and scholars from US can come and almost, and the sort of economic benefits that they get are pretty different from what the normal PhD students in India would get. So they're trying to ensure that standard goes up in terms of quality of living and quality of life and so on.
So one final thought, I was using Coimbatore just as an example, but maybe as a good example, but how is that being replicated as a model across other tier 2 cities in India?
So there is, like I said, the state innovation mission, and this is what I had put in this this slide. So this is responsibility of the state innovation missions in India. How do we ensure tier 2, tier 3 towns and rural villages and smart cities initiatives? These three are very actively aligned with all the support that is being given by the central government. So if you look at Tamil Nadu, the Tamil Nadu State Innovation Mission, and actually you look at the websites, you will have a much better idea about the actual initiatives which are happening to support innovation, entrepreneurship and education in all of this, and skill building. There are very active policies at the state level in addition to what is happening at the central level, as well as grants being given to encourage the students to avail themselves of the grant, or incubators to avail themselves of the grant. There are a number of financial schemes that the central government has done for the MSME industries in all of these, because these cities have big MSME prevalence, and credit guarantee schemes and emergency credit guarantee schemes. In fact, just last week, there's something called ECLG, Emergency Credit Guarantee Loan Scheme, which was announced by the Minister of Ashwini Vaishnav. He had announced, for taking into light the problems that are happening in the supply chain across the rest of the world because of the oil and wars and so on and so forth. So these schemes are being enabled for many of these institutions or industries to be able to not only upgrade themselves but also to leverage technology, to invest in technology, to be able to address many of these issues that are there.
Thank you very much, Ramanan. Very enlightening talk, and hope wish the vision that's been laid out is implemented and is accelerated. The implementation is accelerated. Thank you.
Yeah. So Shirish and Pankaj, go next with your questions.
Shirish, go ahead.
Hi,
Right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Mr. Ramanan, that's a great presentation so far. I was curious, I didn't see any mention of blockchain technology and its application for a lot of the initiatives in India. Did I miss that, or is that something which has not been emphasized as much?
No. I probably no. I didn't mention all the other underlying technologies which are there, but blockchain technology is being particularly used for e-governance in India, and there is special initiative for blockchain in all these record management, property record, health records, and so on and so forth. There is also a focus on blockchain and cyber security and I mean particularly financial trading systems and so on. So yes, there is a focus. In fact, most of the banking systems and financial service systems, including the RBI, and there are initiatives in the digital public infrastructure to integrate blockchain.
Yeah, because I mean, there is a lot of talk about the India stack. I mean, that's very well known across the world. The concept of a blockchain as it relates to the India stack is not something which has been talked about as much. I guess it's been discussed a lot, but I was particularly curious about how that lands up in the context of the India stack.
Yeah. No, it is being, I think you're probably right in saying that it has not been emphasized much in terms of the publicity it should have, but it's part of those, it is definitely part of all the solutions that are being envisaged.
Pankaj?
Okay.
I have a question, Dr. Ramanan.
Yeah.
I just moved back to India after 40 years in the US. I'm closely started working now with the colleges and high schools in Darjeeling in the Northeast. So where would I get, the connections? If you like to help the schools and the colleges here, how would I reach, who would I reach it? I guess the AI mission in Delhi. Are there any decentralized AI mission boards across multiple states?
Yeah, so if you can send me a mail on what you would like to, who you would like to connect to, or what you would like to do, I can help connecting with the appropriate people, either at the state level or at the central level. That's not a problem. We specifically, it should address your what you are looking for in
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Thank
Then
you.
I can connect you to the right person. Yeah.
And the next question, that smart cities, the initially is the government of India, or are there any startup companies looking to use the AI infrastructure technology to help build the smart city in India?
Yeah, there's one company that I have actually that I know that has implemented 14 smart cities in India, 14
Mhm.
smart city projects in India. I can help you connect with them, and because they are, that is one of their core initiatives to help develop smart cities and address smart city projects, including the Pune Safe City, which was done recently with more than 50,000 surveillance cameras, and AI becomes a very important part in being able to detect events and prevent any any escalation of some disaster that is happening somewhere, a fire or a accident or whatever, etc. So yeah, I can help you connect. There are a few companies, but
Yes.
one particular company that I know very well, and I could connect you to them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not Pankaj here. Pankaj Secy. I'll just give you a bit of a perspective from my point of view.
Yeah.
This is more in line with what Saurabh raised, and Vijay Saraswat also pointed out one particular aspect. By the way, I am ex-CMC,
Oh,
and
correct.
I was part of the railway reservation implementation and expansion of the network.
Okay, Internet.
And coincidentally, I also happen to be an entrepreneur because I left CMC after working for 5 years.
Okay.
This was way back in 1988. We left and started on our own in Hyderabad. And my observation here is, I understand what I'm going to say is perhaps slightly outside your specific role right now with the technology missions and so on. But what I'd just like to point out, you mentioned about the startup culture and how it it has started exploding of late. But I can also point out to the early 90s when startups really exploded, including our own company. And the only reason for that was the sort of ending of the license permit Raj.
Right.
And that really what Dr. Manmohan Singh once mentioned as the, unleashing the animal instinct and so on, animal energy.
Right.
That did continue for some time. But of late, what I'm seeing is, there are two ends to this chain of developing the country, industrializing the country. At one end, you have the raw material being prepared, which is people being prepared in schools and then colleges and so on. And somehow we seem to be not even able to, conduct our examinations properly. And so that is one end of the story. The other end of the story is at the industry level. And what I'm seeing in the entrepreneur community and the industrialist people who would like to set up, there is a major hesitation to invest right now. The finance minister also pointed this out in one of the budget speeches, I think last year's budget speech, where she sort of exhorted the industry to resume investment. And we really need to see why investment is not coming in. Because this is very contrary to my experience of the 90s, where people were just willing to invest. In Hyderabad itself, the entire high-tech city area, the way the city developed, is precisely because people were willing to invest in industry, and that results in a lot of downstream effects. So while the goals are all laudable, we seem to be missing out on some very basic things. which, I mean, we might be aiming to be, among the top 10 countries. We might be aiming to be a very powerful nation in AI and so on. But where are the papers coming out? Where are the research papers coming out from India? And even if research papers are coming out from, Indian names, it is mostly our colleagues in the US, people who go to the US and who benefit from the quote-unquote education system there. So this education system is, we really seem to be stuck in a limbo. It maybe you mentioned that a lot of these 25,000 schools that are closed existed only on paper. But have we really fixed everything? Why should government, the reason why the investment, in my view, exploded in the 90s was the removal of the license permit. Basically, government got out of the way.
Correct. Yeah.
If an industrialist needs help from the government, yes, there are schemes through the banks, financing schemes. Now there are venture capital companies which were not there when we started out.
Can we just hold? I think we got the question, Pankaj. Can Ramanan answer that?
So would you like to, although it is not directly related to your particular role in assisting the government right now, but would you like to comment on this general observation? Do we need to do some things outside your specific ambit?
Yeah, so I think all the points that you have mentioned are valid, but I would say to different extent. One is the industry participation, and the proactive industry participation is now happening through some incentivization. The product, we have the PLI incentives which have been declared by the government, productivity linked incentives in manufacturing and so on. There is more R&D investment being encouraged by the industry, from the industry, because they know the domain, they know the market challenges, and they would be the right people to fund the right type of challenges and so on. So we are seeing an increased uptake in terms of industry contributions to all of this. These are all things that are happening, but the effects of any of these would be visible in the next couple of years, I would say. At the same time, I did agree to Saraswat's observation that industry participation can be much more in a collaborative effort, and that is being encouraged at the state level as well as at the university level. For example, Navi Mumbai, which has really grown tremendously. If those of you who have come to Mumbai recently, you would see not only Panvel and all developed, but the entire corridor from Mumbai to Pune is full of new development, new educational institutions, new industries and so on, which have come up, including the biotech industry, the Atal Secy bridge and all of that. So there is more industry participation in many of this, but it is still not to the extent that is doing full justice to the potential and the need that India has. Why is it like that right now? Right now also the industry is struggling with some of the global challenges over the last couple of years, with all the tariff rules being rewritten, supply chains being affected, wars being initiated and so on. But at the same time, if you see over the last just couple of years, FTAs have been signed now with EU, with New Zealand, with Australia, with UK. These were things which were just stagnant for a very, very long time, but it has got accelerated, and I'm sure they will all have positive effects in terms of the growth that the country needs. Education, see, we have 1.4 million schools in India. We have 650,000 secondary and higher secondary schools. We have 10,000 engineering institutions, and we have 50,000 colleges. And so this is a large number of colleges and schools which came up over the last several years, and some of which has not been administered properly, or were done by, as a result of some political machinations by some of the ministers who just got some land, set up a school, got some grants, and so on and so forth. So there has been those issues in India, and one cannot shy away from that, and one cannot say that everything is hunky dory there. But the movement to clean up this and to make sure that the wrong institutions are shut down or which are not adding any value, that I think is a positive step rather than retaining them or hoping that they are going to improve.
I'll interrupt now. There are a lot of questions on the chat how to get in touch with you. Can you switch to your last slide? I see you shared your contact information.
Now, one thing I just want to I want to request all of you is please send your ideas of whatever ideas you have, and however critical it is. It is very important for us to look at it. At least from my point of view, I am not stuck up that this is the best way forward and so on. And so I will have a chance to see how to connect you, if as is required, to the right people, so that your ideas can be captured. It can resonate with what we are trying to do there in India, and I'm sure they'll be very, very valuable to all of us. So I'm in touch with the right people who will not look upon it as why are you questioning what we are doing, but rather how can we use that as an improvement for the benefit of.
I have a question, Ramanan. So you heard, and maybe rightfully so, some skepticism from the audience, right? And yes, you can either believe in it and want to be the agent of change, or you can be skeptic and wait for change to happen. So I was wondering, you mentioned the unicorns. Is it possible to get one of your unicorn, venture starters to come and give a talk on how they see this program and how they benefited from it? Maybe that will help to also with this audience.
Sure, I can reach out to somebody, but normally these unicorn heads are very difficult to get to a general, unless they see some VC opportunity at the end of it, But yeah, I can definitely reach out. I know some people, Paytm and all. The head.
And the other part was the Mentors for Change, right? I mean, that program, maybe someone from this audience wants to be part. Hey, Louise, I think you have a question. Maybe that's the last question, and then we can close down. It's been great participation.
That's Sanjay, who uses an alias.
Okay.
Hi, Ramanan. Really enjoyed your talk. I had no idea what the status of things in India was. So, I mean, there has to be the recognition that India is starting way behind where many other countries are, right? That it cannot come as a surprise to people that. So I firmly believe starting, saying, okay, I got to lay the groundwork first. So I love the tinkering labs, etc. My worry always is on execution of these things. I mean, were these kids says, here's your 3D printer, and well, supplies, that may be a different thing. The printer sits there. Is anybody measuring, monitoring how these programs are doing to make sure they are not a placeholder in somebody's view graph, and it's actually serving the purpose that it's supposed to?
Yeah.
Now, I know nothing about the success of the AI summit that you said was I'm sure it was well attended, but many of the things, and being India and being an important market, I'm sure Pichai and all these guys showed up for the. But the thing I remember seeing was, I forget the name of this university starting with G or something, that was showing off a Chinese dog pretending to be their own and claiming these are big breakthroughs in India, etc. I mean, that cannot be the standard by which this India gets any credibility out of this thing. So it really is something that who is watching out for it? But going back to my first question, saying recognition that India is way behind other countries despite its size and intellectual capacity, I don't see anything in the plan that says, it seems incremental in nature to what everybody else has done, rather than saying we need to draw an arc to something that we need to follow a different path to get us and leapfrog where others are, and not just okay, we will with a 10,000 GPU cluster. What are you going to do with 100,000? And just to make my last point, I don't think the bank of NVIDIA, as I call it, that has been funding a lot of research effort by investing in these. The NVIDIA says, I'll give you $5 billion. It's going to come in the form of, and I take a fraction of your company, right? Some percentage of your company. If have anybody convinced the bank of NVIDIA to say, I will give you 1 million GPU cluster because I think what you're going to do is phenomenal? I don't think anything in the proposal that would say, hey, Bank of NVIDIA would be very interested in doing this. So there's something missing in all this.
Sanjay, we hear you. Let Ramanan answer the question.
No, that's what I'm trying to finish up saying. What am I missing, and why is it that we are in a place like this?
Okay, so I think couple of things. I mean, one can measure. Okay, first let me address your question about the schools, tinkering labs, and so on. A very good system has been put in place to measure the impact of all of these initiatives at the school level. I didn't elaborate on that. But there is a national dashboard. Every school becomes part of that dashboard. They record the number of initiatives, innovation initiatives, the number of prototypes that have been developed by the students, the name of the students, the prototype that has actually been developed, so that it is not just a statement on some piece of paper.
Wonderful. Okay? Yeah,
and
wonderful.
There are tinkering challenges for the month, tinkering fests at a regional level, and tinkering marathon being held at a national level. And the top 300, 400 innovations are students are given internships in advanced companies who have partnered now with us. More than 50 multinational companies have partnered with Atal Innovation Mission. So then there is a external third-party audit which talks about all these 10,000 tinkering labs, how are you performing, what is the utilization, etc., etc. So there's a lot of things behind it. So it is not, and the same thing is true at the university level, at the incubator level, at the community innovation center level. There are national dashboards, portals. You can actually, and these are all very well thought of, and they have been thought of with inputs from international bodies also and international associations.
Fantastic. Great to see.
Yeah, so that is one. At the national level also, like I mentioned, you have the National Innovation Index, which is a reflection of the Global Innovation Index, which helps drive improvement at a district level, at a city level, at a town level, and so on. And these parameters are available at a state level as well as at a central level, and that's what is monitored when the Prime Minister is attending that one day where all the states present what we are doing. Those data is shown on that dashboard, and it's based on that data that they can talk about, and not something that that is theoretical and so on. Now, you mentioned you were saying what was the other thing that you were mentioning, that you are not seeing?
Sorry, the
recognition of where we are. I think it is precisely that recognition which has driven all of these initiatives. The recognition that we are way behind the rest of the world in terms of innovation, entrepreneurship, and so on. And actually, I beg to differ on this. We are within just 6 to 7 years, we are the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. And so it's not that all of this has not had an effect. And these are all, and we have got more than we are among the third largest unicorns also in the world today. We have crossed UK, Europe, I mean France, etc., and all of that. Now, one may say, hey, I question the quality of your startups. So one reflection is the number of unicorns, because unicorns, people invest in it, and therefore you cannot say that they are accidents. But the rest of the startup world, almost every startup that I know is seeing how to integrate AI. Now, in AI, there are two different aspects of it. Now, one is all these large language models, etc., etc. You already, the Googles of the world, the Metas of the world, and the Apples of the world, they have the ability to develop all of this because of the infrastructure that they have set up, and no company in India has that sort of setup, and that's what they are trying to do. Even TCS is now setting one of the largest AI data centers in India for being able to capture all that information and do it. But India's path on AI is, how do you leverage AI for the good of the country, and leverage on and build on all these models that are being made available from outside. So I think India's trajectory on AI is going to be more on leveraging it and using it, rather than building fundamental models that are out there. And that's why the emphasis is on whatever I had shared with you. Now, are these going to reflect in I think there is a clear recognition that we are behind. There is no doubt about it. But at the same time, I think these initiatives are very much required. How do you accelerate it? Again, the last slide that I put up, or this slide that I put up, is the way forward. To help realize this, can we engineer greater collaboration and dialogues between interested parties? Can we establish better connections? And can we establish co-innovation? In fact, when I talk of co-innovation, there is a need, there is a skill available somewhere, and there is a scale available in India. So the skill and scale can match, and you can co-innovate to address what is working in India will not is very different. The levels, the bottom of the pyramid requirement in India is much more than the bottom of the pyramid requirement in the United States, and therefore you're going to see a different nature of solutions that have to evolve from within India than and that's how the DPI came up. The whole DPI, or the Digital Public Infrastructure, the Aadhaar ID, the Paytms and all that stuff that you see when you go to India. When I come here, I feel a little handicapped in being able to do any financial transaction, as compared to how many of the people who come from abroad also find it easier to interact in India. So
I love the UPI. Don't get me wrong. I love UPI.
No, but what I'm saying is, I'm not trying to praise that. What I'm saying is that the need for a UPI could have been born only in India, not in an advanced economy like the United States, right? And so that innovation which we are talking about, if we co-innovate, there is a huge opportunity. But I take all your points, and I would not want this presentation to be interpreted as we are doing great. It is just, what are the initiatives going on, and what is the purpose and intent behind these initiatives, and how do we amplify its effect and its impact. That is what I would really like feedback on from all of you, so that we can see how to better it and how to improvise on it.
May I? Bodley, excuse me. May I ask the question?
Go ahead. But we should think of cutting it off in about 10 minutes. It's been a pretty long and a very interesting talk, but go ahead.
Yeah, we are starting, as I understand, we are starting with the 28 nanometer DUV technology, and but all AI chips now are 7 nanometer or less, maybe 5 nanometer, 3 nanometer is also coming. So what are our plans for EUV from DUV? Because I am worried, actually, the Semiconductor Limited in Chandigarh, that also started with obsolete technology, and then it is nowhere now. Second is on...
go ahead.
You can go. I'll ask later.
So you're right. We have started at the 28 level, but the reason is we don't have that infrastructure, and I think Ashwini Vaishnav has very nicely talked about it. There is a YouTube video which I can share. that while we realize that we are at a different level, it is also that the type of infrastructure that is required to manufacture at the levels that you are talking about, we don't still have that infrastructure. Water supply, clean water, stable environment, etc., and that is all being built. So until we are ready for that, it would not be possible for us to launch into that manufacturing at that nanometer scale. And that's the practical realization of where we are vis-a-vis where we would like to be. But the aim is also the bulk of the requirements in the country could be satisfied at this level. That is another reason why they settled at this, because there are many requirements from a manufacturing point of view which can be done locally in India and which will address the broader requirements of the country and the scale of the requirements in the country. But going forward, there is a definite plan of improving on all of this and achieving at that level. I think NVIDIA is already in discussions. I saw some announcement yesterday or day before yesterday of a major initiative between NVIDIA and the government of India in setting up a plant or financing a plant or something like that. So I don't have the details of that, but the movement in that direction is very clear that we should achieve that.
Yeah. Thank you very much. But we have to start now actually, because these all machines are only manufactured by only one company, ASML, and they have 4 to 5 years less time actually. So if India starts now, they will get the machine after 4 years. EUBs and NAEUBs. And second thing is about this green energy. Now generation is no longer a concern actually. We are generating more than what we need actually, and we are wasting the energy because we don't have a storage, time shifting facilities. And every afternoon we ramp down the coal-fired power plant and then ramp up again in 6:30 p.m. So excuse me. So what are the plans to set up the storage system in India?
So there is tremendous focus on green energy, Mr. Saraswat, and I think I can put you in touch. There is another Mr. Saraswat you may know who was part of the Niti Aayog member of technology, and he has been a great proponent of that. Actually, he is the right person to connect with, and he'd be very interested in any initiatives to promote and support green energy, and the government is very keen on it. I think today's Independence speech also talked about it, but I can send you more details on all the initiatives that are happening in that area.
Thank you. I will send you mail. And industrial automation. Industrial automation. I have a background in industrial automation, mostly in power plant, paper and pulp plant, pharmaceutical and other chemicals. And what are our plans for AI in industrial automation with the cyber security IEC 62443?
Yeah. So manufacturing and automation in manufacturing and AI in automation is very much a part of the agenda that is directly linked with productivity linked incentives for the manufacturing sector. Okay, so if you have any ideas about collaboration or innovation and so on, the MSME industry, the Confederation of Indian MSME industry, as well as the Confederation of Indian Industries, they are very active in promoting automation, IR 4.0, or now it may be 5.0, as well as AI in automation. So smart technology and smart manufacturing is very important. The other area is space technology and defense. They are also very keen on leveraging manufacturing automation, particularly for defense related equipment, radars, and so on and so forth.
A quick segue into manufacturing automation. Having worked in manufacturing for last 30 plus years, first in steel and auto currently. One thing I'm not heard is I've heard of robots being used, but very few robots are used either in steel industry or manufacture or auto. Okay, that's all a myth that they're all automated. Okay, I've seen that. But second question is, why are we not using AI for robotics enhancement? Okay, instead of the good old PLC where you do some motions and all that, why can't you use increase the intelligence of robots using AI so that we can have more? Because yesterday I heard one guy died in a steel plant about 30 miles from where, dumping a slag pot. So there are some jobs which are unsafe, which can be done with a robot. Okay, so that I think we have fallen behind. Both US and I don't know much about India, but in US they have fallen behind in automation. I don't know about electronics. Semiconductor fab is different. I'm talking about basic infrastructure, like forget about Tesla. I work for Ford, and Ford has very minimum automation. Okay, so I don't understand why AI is not being used to enhance use of robotics, and I've not heard anything about that.
Yeah,
I don't know what's your comment on.
Probably going to jump in there and make this the last question. And Ramanan, thank you so much for this. I've been looking at the feedback on the chat. Really good feedback. Also skepticism you expected from an audience like this. But again, thank you so much. But go ahead and answer, Murli.
Yeah. So yes, robotics and AI are definitely being encouraged. The cost factor has been the problem in terms of India being able to adopt robotics in manufacturing. But if you look at the more advanced plants like Mahindra's and Tata Motors and so on, if you visit those plants, you will find robotics being deployed and being used in many of these manufacturing plants. AI on robotics is again something that is natural to robotics with all the sensor technologies and data feeds that you can get. How can you more intelligently program the robot? So many startups are focusing on that. I'm aware of that. But the extent of deployment is still not very noticeable. And so I guess either they have to find very good points of cost and feature functionality benefit, and at the same time look at do they have the right environment for all these robots to also be used. So that's the challenge in many of the manufacturing setups that are already there, the older ones. And the type of incidents that you talk about, it's very sad to hear that, but yes, those are some things. In fact, I know that many mining companies, they are using now the dredging equipment for the mines. Previously used to have people going into it. I personally was involved in a project with Vedanta Group, where now the whole the truck and the dredger and everything is no human being is sitting down in that, and everything is automated and it is remotely controlled. So that has cut down on a number of injuries and deaths in dangerous mining operations. So that's it is happening, but should happen much more.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
But again, your expertise on that will be very useful. So please share any inputs. And there are manufacturing companies who, the whole thing is piloting at some place and showing the effectiveness of it. And once we are able to show it, then it sort of moves quickly across.
Again, want to thank you, Ramanan. Any closing remarks? And we should, this is a great presentation. I see the good feedback. You and I will chat later about it. But any closing remarks, and then we can probably think of staging another talk. Maybe, like I said, one of the startups, so that we show that evidence of your work.
Sure. So first of all, Murli and everybody, thank you so much for giving me a chance to share some of my knowledge and some of my experiences in this. And I really enjoyed the questions. There was no particular question which I felt bad about. I think these are genuine issues that need to be addressed, not only by the country but also by the industry and so on. And I really look forward to inputs from you and suggestions from you on all of this. I can assure you it will find a place to be considered, but whether it will be immediately adopted or not, there's a big machinery behind it. But we'll do our little bit to make sure that the right ideas and the right thoughts are propagated forward and promoted. From my point of view, I am quite bullish about what is happening in the country. I feel very optimistic. I've been in India throughout, from my school days to, though I have traveled a bit around, and I do see the change. But I also see the need for us to accelerate the change by everybody getting into the act, or a lot of people who are capable of contributing to get into the act. And I hope that continues. And we have a wonderful diaspora in US, Indian diaspora, who have accomplished so many things. I think they can play a great role in all of this, in some manner or the other. And I look forward to working with you. I do come to, I may be coming to New York or New Jersey often during my daughter is now, both my daughters are here. One daughter has started studying here for her MBA. So I'm going to visit a little more often. So I'll be happy to meet you all when the occasion permits and when you have the time. But thank you so much. And once again, it's great connecting with all of you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.